Hey guys, it's me Sean. Welcome back to our online video tutorials using Arts Sandbox for our video game design software. This is our third video tutorial, so we're going to be going over entities and sort of how to apply them and put them into your game and be able to change the properties. So if you haven't had a chance yet to check out our other video tutorials like materials, texturing, or modeling, I would definitely check out those first, because some of this might not make sense unless you've actually checked out the other videos. So let's get started. So entities can be a lot of different things. They can encompass jump pads, teleports, platforms, elevators, creatures, lights, all these various different things that we can sort of interact with. Now the first one we want to start off with is going to be a jump pad. And our jump pad, this is actually a castle that I built, and what I want to do is I want to have the player be able to get to the very top of the castle here. And a way to do that is actually use a jump pad. Now a jump pad is just what it sounds like. It's basically a little spring that once you touch it, you can change the properties and be able to bounce up in the air. So if you ever played a Mario game, Sonic, they put these into their games very often. So let's go ahead and start building one. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually go into edit mode here, and I want to build a actually I want to create just a placeholder texture for right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just press F2. I'm going to bring a texture here. This one looks pretty good. Okay, so here's my placeholder texture, and I'm going to go ahead and create a entity. So what I do is press F3, and it brings up this little menu, and I'm going to go to New Entity right here. Okay, so once you press New Entity, by default it always creates a light. And so what you see here for this particular entity is the radius of the light. If we go a little bit closer, we can see the red, green, and blue values. And if we go ahead and just press E, our entity actually disappears. So when we create an entity, we want to make sure that you have some sort of placeholder texture if you're going to be interacting with it. For example, like a jump pad, because if we didn't, we would never be able to find it. So as long as you have something there to kind of let the player know, it'll just make the game much easier to find these particular objects. So if you want to take your entity right here, we have sort of a little bounding box, this little box that floats around this particular object. The way we can move it around is we can go ahead and click on this side of the box, and I can just sort of click and drag and move it in these directions. I can also move it up and down and back and forth, so off the X and Y axis. Now if I'm going to move it off the Z axis, I have to go ahead and select on this side of the box. So now when I click this, I can move it up and down. Okay? And if I just wanted to move it on just only the X and Y, I would just click on the top of the box. I could do that. And there's a couple other things that you can do. You can go ahead and as long as you hold it down, you can use your scroll wheel to bring it closer and farther away, just like that. So you just go ahead and left click and use your scroll wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this back in the right spot. So it takes a little bit to get used to the movement of moving around entities and map models, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. And it's also good to use the guideline right here. Okay? So now we want to go ahead and we want to change this to a jump pad. So what we need to do is make sure that our entity is selected. So I have it selected, and I'm going to go ahead and press F3. Once I press F3, you're going to see all these different properties for a light. That's all great, but we're not using a light right now. We're actually using a jump pad. So we need to go to type. We want to go to a different type of entity. And here's a list of entities that we can put into our game here. So I want to go ahead to jump pad. Okay, so now here's my jump pad. So I made a jump pad. Now if I go to game mode, I can hear a sound effect, but nothing's happening. The reason why is I have to change the values of this particular jump pad. You'll notice we have Z, Y, X, and they're all set to 0. So we have to change the properties. So we're going to go ahead and just press F3, and then this will bring up the properties of our entity. Now, what they just incorporated into 2.7.1 is the option to go and create little sliders. If these are off, you can go ahead and turn these off right here by going to miscellaneous. And what you can do is you can actually type in the value number. Or if you're used to, if you just have to make a quick little change, I suggest putting the sliders on. So for example, we want to bounce our character up in the sky. So what we need to do is we need to change the Z axis. So if I go in and click on this number right here, our value comes up and their little arrow pops up. So the higher the number, the higher our character is going to bounce up. If we do a negative number, it's going to push us down. So I'm going to go ahead and just try maybe 90. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press E. And I'm going to go ahead and walk over to it. And looks like it's working pretty good. Okay. So I can go over to it again if I want to. It looks like I'm stuck on the little wall here, so I have to get a little farther back. There we go. Now, say for example you wanted to make your jump pad, but instead of bouncing you up, you want to have it go in a different direction. We can go ahead and just click on our entity and press F3. And I'm going to go ahead and change some of these values. So I want to make sort of a cannon. So I'm going to have it push us off the y-axis and also the z-axis. So it's going to be a sort of an arch. So I'm going to go ahead and test it out. And now see how it just bounced me that way. And the great thing about our entities is that we can go ahead and copy one, and we can go ahead and it'll copy all the properties inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. I'm going to press C on my keyboard. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the ground here and then press V. So what I just did was just copy and paste a jump pad. So I'm going to put a few of them in here. And I'm going to go ahead and just make another one right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just change the direction. So I'm going to have it bounce that way. And just to make it fun, I'm going to put a bunch of them in here. Just go a little crazy with it. So what you guys can see here is that I'm going to basically have a room where it's just a bunch of jump pads and I just keep bouncing back and forth. Okay. So there's a lot of creative ways that you can use these jump pads. If you've ever played a great game, Donkey Kong Country, where they sort of used different barrels, and once you went to one barrel, you bounce to the next barrel, you can do sort of the same technique in here. So I can bounce one jump pad, then it'll make me land right here, and I'll have another jump pad, maybe bounce to the next one, over and over and over. Obviously I have to test this out. This is going a little too far, and I just fell off the edge of my map. But you sort of get the idea. So there's a lot of creative ideas, or creative ways to import these entities into the game and make your game really fun. So that's jump pads. Let's go over another one. Another one is going to be platforms. So for example, I have a lava pit that I built here, and I have just a special area that I want to get to at the very end. Now obviously, if I try to jump across, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. So we need sort of a platform to get to the other side. Now a platform is similar to an elevator, except it just goes back and forth. So let's go ahead and build one. So I'm going to go ahead and press F3. I'm going to go to New Entity. Press F3 again. I'm going to go to Type. I'm going to make a brand new one. And we're going to go ahead and find the platform. Platform. There we go. Alright. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and press F3 because I'm going to bring up the properties. Now there's different options here. One is our direction. This is the direction that my platform's going to move. So I'm going to have it actually move back and forth like this. So I'm just going to move it by 90 degrees. And a little arrow represents that. Okay? The next one is a map model. So what do we want to assign to this particular platform? What do we want to be able to stand on? A good one to start off with would be number 12. This is actually a little platform you can stand on. It's actually called a jump pad, but don't let that confuse you. It's just a map model that you can stand on. We have tag, which we'll be getting into a little later, and then we also have speed. How fast do we want this platform to move? So I'm going to go ahead and bump it up to about 30 here. I'm going to go ahead and I need to put it in the right position. Actually, I'll just leave it right here. And I'm going to press E one more time to load into the game. And there we go. So now we have this little platform that's moving around. You can stand on it, and it keeps on moving. Now this platform will continue to keep moving unless there's a wall or an object that it can bounce off of. It can be an actual model. It can be an actual geometric with the terrain here, like the castle, or it could be a clip. Alright, now it's not bouncing off anything. It's going to the edge of the map and it gets stuck. So you want to make sure when you go ahead, and actually when you press E, it loads it back into the game from the reset point, that you put it over here where there's going to be a wall. So now if I press E, see it bounces back, and it should do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make this I like the speed actually, that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I copy the values. I'm going to go ahead and put it right here. Put it a little bit higher. And maybe I'll have it start over here. So it's going two different speeds a little bit. There we go. And maybe I'll make another one. Maybe I'll put it over here. And let's sort of make this interesting. I'm going to go ahead and let's go to my map model right here. And let's find something fun to stand on top of. Let's see. There we go. This will be interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy a little bit lower. So now, I'm going to go ahead and just proceed to load all the things in. So now I got 2 little jump pads to bounce off of, and it looks like I got a horse. So you can pretty much use any sort of map model as a platform, so you can make things very interesting. Oops, let me try that one more time. I don't think the horse is having a good time standing on top of the lava. Alright, let's see if I can jump on him here. Oh, it was close. But anyways, you get an idea of how we can use platforms and put them into the game. You can have these go in different directions if you want to, by having just do this. So now we have a couple various directions going on. And it's just a lot of crazy challenges that you can put into the game when you have them going in different directions. So that's platforms. Elevator is pretty much the same thing, except it's just going to go up and down off the z-axis. So I'm going to go ahead and just press F3, new entity, I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to go to elevator. So here's my elevator, and I'm going to go ahead and change this, let's just do 15. It's a wood pallet. It's a little bit bigger than the Jumppad that you saw earlier, map model. And I'll change the speed here. And now direction, in this case, actually means which way do you want the map model to face. So if I go ahead and press E here, there's the platform, or the elevator. And let me just move it a little bit. See, it moved the map model a little bit. Now this elevator will continue to keep going up unless I put, again, another wall, or I put a clip, or something that has it bounce off. And let's try that one more time. Looks like I went right through it. Here we go. Okay. And get to the very top. Alright, so now we got a jump pad and an elevator. Pretty much do the same thing. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to build just a little clip here just to have this elevator go back down. So I'm going to go ahead and just push this away here. Push that away. Turn this to a clip. So now, when I go to the game mode, this elevator should bounce off the clip and go back down. Alright. There you go. Okay. Now let's go over teleports. Teleports are a little fun. We're going to go ahead and press F3 here, new entity, type, and let's look for our teleport. So here's our teleport. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put my teleport right here in this little green box. Now when I walk over to it, you notice it's not working. It says right here on the left hand side, it says no teleport destination for tag 0. The reason why is we have to have a destination point. We have to tell this teleport where it wants us to send us. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new entity. And we want to look for something called teledest. It's right below teleport. So this is the destination point, where it's going to send us to once we go through that teleport. And I'm going to go ahead and just send it, I'm going to put it over, right over by the water here. So there you go. And see, I'm using my guidelines to show where my destination point is. So it looks like it's going to land me right in the water here. So let's try it out. So I'm going to go into my teleport. And there we go, right in the water. Now, say if we wanted to make 2 teleports. Now, the great thing about this is if you have 1 teleport, it shows you a little guiding line. It shows you exactly where you're going to end up at. But when you start adding 2, maybe we're going to make a game that's similar to Portal or something. So we're going to have multiple teleports. So what I did was I just copied one of the teleports, and it's still sending me to this destination point. So let's make a new destination point. And let's put it right here. So now, it still wants to send me over there. So what I need to do is we need to get into something called tags. So if you have 2 teleports or 2 different types of entities in your game and you want them to correspond with each other, you have to have the same tag number. So if we go to this teleport here and I change the tag number to 1, and since the teledest has a tag number of 1, they're gonna work together. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put this over here. And you can see how I'm using colors to represent where the teleport's going to go to. So obviously this is a good one because I'm landing in water. This one could be bad because I could be landing in lava. Alright, and luckily I just landed on there, and hey, now I'm on the horse. Awesome. Alright. So that would be teleports. Now there's quite a few other sort of entities that you can get into, and each one has sort of its own different values and different properties. We can get into that a little bit later in the different tutorials, but if you play around with them, once you learn one sort of entity, it's pretty easy to learn other ones. Ones I'll kind of briefly go over. Player start, so if you want to have your character start in a certain part of the game, go ahead and press F3 here, change the direction where he starts off here. Don't worry about team for right now. And if we go ahead and die, it should send us right there. So it looks like it's working. There's also a respawn point. So for example, if I died in the lava here, and as long as I hit the respawn point, it'll save my progress throughout the game. So I'm going to go ahead and new entity, type. Let's go to respawn points, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little text here to represent where it's at. I'll put it right here. So I'm going to go over walk to it. So you see it right here on the left hand side says respawn point set. So now when I die, it sets me right by the respawn point. So there's quite a few entities and a lot of different ways to utilize them and put them into the game. Hopefully you learned just a brief overview of some of them. And if you guys have any questions, check out our website, C3Cyberclub.com. Also check out Platinum Arts Sandbox Game Maker. Really great stuff on there. So hopefully we'll see you guys again, and keep designing your games. Alright, bye-bye.